Hi everyone, and welcome to another video in the Soil CRC Knowledge Sharing Project Extension Series. I'm your host, Simon Kruger, WA's Knowledge Sharing Project Grower Group Representative and Project Communications Officer at the West Midlands Group. This is one of 4 episodes where participating grower group representatives get to reflect on the knowledge sharing project and what they've learnt during that time. So joining us today, it's my absolute pleasure to be sitting down with the CEO of Central West Farming System, Diana Fear. Diana, how's it going?
Very well, thanks, Simon. It's my pleasure to be here with you today as well.
Excellent, thank you so much. Now, you're a familiar face to me, obviously, because we catch up every month for the Knowledge Sharing Project. But for those who don't know, how about you introduce yourself and your role?
Hi, everyone. So, as Simon mentioned, I'm Diana Fear and I'm Central West Farming Systems, which is a farming systems organisation based in Condobolin in the central west of New South Wales. I am their CEO and I've been CEO now for 5.5 years.
And so, for a little extra context for people that are listening in, whereabouts is Condobolin in relation to maybe some big centres such as Sydney along those lines?
Yep.
And then what kinds of farmers and farming systems are you working with at CWFS?
You just saw me squirming because it's not Condobolin.
It's
Condobolin. So I'm just making a correction there, everybody. So Condobolin is actually dead centre of New South Wales. So it's the centre of New South Wales. So we're about 500 kilometres west from Sydney. One of our major centres probably is east of us. It's Orange, and then we have 3 townships nearby. One west, which is West Wyalong, that's an hour away, and we have Parks, which is east, another hour away, and Forbes, which is southeast, another hour away. So Condobolin has about 3,000 people in the town and surrounding farms. So it's small, but it's a very cohesive community.
And what kind of what kind of soil types are you working with there? Since this is a soil CRC conversation, I guess that's probably a good thing to start with.
We've got all types of soil. So we have some heavier clays and we have some lighter red sandy soils. So we have the Lachlan River and Goobang Creek goes through our region. So if you're on the river, of course, you've got heavier soils, and then for the west, it's that lighter, sandier red soil. And most of our farmers are mixed farmers. I would say 95% of farmers around here are mixed, and it's predominantly winter cropping, and we have cotton growers if they're with that irrigation capacity that we have. And I'm just trying to think if we've got anything else that's a bit different. But no, I think that covers it, actually.
And mixed farming, generally speaking, is a larger number of sheep producers, or is it sheep and beef as well?
Yeah, sheep and beef. So on my farm, our farm, my husband's farm, we've got cattle and no sheep and just cropping, and we've got some irrigation. So we have just got some irrigated wheat this year and some lucerne. So we'll be baling a lot of that lucerne up because it's actually a drought at the moment. So feed could get quite scarce in the future.
And now, I was going to ask another question first, but I think you saying just now that it's coming into a drought now is probably a pretty good lead-in for the crux of this conversation. You talk about being in a drought now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean last year, 2022, there was some pretty significant flooding through New South Wales. So if you could maybe tell us a little bit about how you were able to bring landholders in your region together post flooding, and in general about engagement during challenging times, because it sounds like you're moving into another challenging time right at the moment with drought.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. We are, and I reckon, we're a pretty tough lot out here. We're used to droughts, so that's nothing unusual. But last year was, we were devastated by major flooding, and it was unprecedented in this area. And look, that really, that was the result of really 3 wet years, so there was nowhere for the water to run. Huge rainfall events that kept topping up Wyangla Dam, and they would have to spill. And the sort of the complete kind of it all fell apart in November, which was unusual because we were coming into the hotter weather. And look, we had small floods during the year, and I think we all just thought, okay, we're just going to be okay. Then there was 5 inches of rain in the catchment, and that was part of that devastating Eugowra situation where people were killed and that water went through at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So that event, 5 inches into the catchment, they had to spill. Water was flowing everywhere, so it just came through and pretty much devastated, quite a lot of the area. So, and I think you're talking about, I was talking about how cohesive the community is. So situations like that, it's tough. It's so different from the drought. People were very isolated in the flood because you couldn't access roads, you couldn't leave your home, or people were, camping in the woolshed if the flood had already gone through their homes. So, and people were isolated for months, really. Some of the back roads were just cut off for a long, long time. So it was really challenging, and I've never seen anything like it. And so I was, even on our farm, it was just devastating. And the water that was going through was just white water. It was rushing through. So in terms of how the
As an
town coped,
organisation, did
well, as
everything
an
just stop for a
organisation,
period of time?
all our trials were underwater, so there was nothing we could do. There were no workshops. And look, funding bodies were fantastic, so they understood the situation. There was just nothing. It was really hard for our staff because they'd put in a lot of work to these trials, and it happened in November. So we still thought sort of even early November we were going to be able to get some good results. So everything was just on hold. So. But like at these sort of difficult times, people are amazing. The level of cooperation and support and help for everybody, and there's always someone worse off than you. So you'd sort of, people that weren't as flooded as we're on the river, so we got quite badly flooded. So people that were sort of not on the river would all come down and, fill sandbags, and that's that sort of level of cooperation. So it was devastating, but it was amazing to see how people behaved and reacted.
And would you say that's kind of built resilience in your community as well? I mean, it's come together after a terrible natural disaster like that. It must build like a really real sense of community, but also create extra resilience in the people that are still there, post the flooding.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, Simon, because it can build resilience, but it also can create less resilience in some people. So I just think it depends on that individual, some of their experiences. It might be the straw that broke the camel's back almost. Other people, it will build resilience. So I think everybody has a different outcome from the flood, but I think it's certainly built a more resilient community, that really wants to help each other and make sure that everybody's okay.
And so, if we're talking about this from a knowledge sharing perspective and from a project perspective, you've come out the backside of the it's post flooding in 2022, and obviously as an organisation that is a grower group, you want to engage with your growers again. What did you learn in that period of time? How did you pick up the organisation and try and get back into engaging with your landholders and with your farmers and trying to get things back on the road?
Look, I think after the sort of the flood subsided, it was a really key. It was key for us to engage our growers, and we would probably, I'd say, it was really more of a social events we organised. It really wasn't around trials or research. It was just trying to keep just ascertaining everybody's okay, and being the conduit to say, okay, we're going to have a pub night, or we're going to do this, and everybody would come in and chat. And I think that was sort of just building that community again of I mean, everyone was a bit shell-shocked. So I think we all just needed to get together and have some sort of normal behaviour, which was sitting down having a meal at the pub. So I think, and from
Creating
there,
entertainment,
yeah, it
to
was just,
keep things together.
yeah, and because Central West Farming Systems, it's not only a agricultural research demonstration and extension group. We're part of the community fabric. So I could put a notice out and say, okay, we're just going to have a casual catch up. Please come along, and I think that just builds on what we're already doing, which is really trying to increase everybody's engagement and connection.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, coming from my perspective, I feel like sometimes grower groups, and I mean we're a culprit of it as well. Certainly at West Midlands, we often forget that some of that entertainment and that community fabric. It's worthwhile having those kind of solely not super research relevant and really focused down on trial results and stuff events. Having those entertaining events are really, it's quite important for community fabric and to create kind of a little bit of growth towards getting a community or a group of interested individuals around another project.
Yeah, and that's right, Simon. And often if you put a project workshop on, people go, well, I'm not really interested in that, so I won't come along. Whereas these events, everybody comes along, and you can actually talk about some of the trials and projects, and you can get quite a lot of really helpful information just in chatting in a more informal way. So they're always really beneficial, I think.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, if anyone's for whoever's listening in, I'm sure it's a nice thing to hear that you can, coming out the back of something so tragic and really hard to work through is one of the biggest learnings. I guess it's not even a learning. It's not like you weren't doing it already, but it's like a confirmation that working as a community and doing these kind of mixed events where you do have a level of entertainment in there, as well as being able to think about some outcomes and maybe some outputs from projects. It does still work.
Yeah, that's right, Simon. I think that's right. And going forward into this year, that I have found that we have had probably the highest engagement in all our events, all our workshops. And I think that's just the communities kind of realise it would really. I think after COVID as well, the ability to catch up and be face to face is sort of become a much more precious commodity, and people want to do it more. So we've found really good levels of engagement this year, and look, I'm not saying it won't wane, but at the moment it's been great. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Obviously, the key learning from this wouldn't be you have to have a flood to be able to engage with the audience, which would be a terrible thing to come out of the back of a project. But that's perfect for this portion of the video at the moment. What I want to say is, like, from my perspective, it's been really fantastic to be able to dive into the knowledge sharing project monthly meetings and be able to chat with the likes of yourself and other grower groups. Thanks for being live with me and having a chat. On a personal note, thanks a lot for your openness and your insight and your knowledge and support of myself and obviously the knowledge sharing project itself. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you, Diana, and I hope to work with you in the future.
Well, right back at you, Simon. So thank you. No, it's been great.
Worries.